This month, CNN members are exploring the fascinating world of the endocannabinoid system, an essential yet often overlooked regulator of health and wellness. As part of our theme this month, Understanding the Endocannabinoid System, we are so proud to spotlight Tamara Pryor. And she's a trailblazing school nurse who is changing the way young minds learn about health. Tamara is on a mission to integrate ECS education into high school health programs, equipping students with the tools and knowledge to make informed decisions about their wellness. Her groundbreaking work not only empowers the next generation, but it also sets a bold example for nurses, educators, and advocates everywhere. We want to welcome you, Tamara. We're so excited to shine the spotlight on you this evening.
Thank you.
Clearly, you're a pioneer in endocannabinoid system education. So, Tamara, you're breaking new ground by advocating for endocannabinoid system health education in your high school. What inspired you to bring this critical topic into the classroom?
Well, first of all, myself being educated about the endocannabinoid system and learning how important it is, how wonderful it is, and the fact that I even have it, and then just starting to see the things that were going on with my students, the anxiety, the depression, and then that they're consuming, they're using, they're vaping, they're consuming edibles also. And I said, there is an opportunity here for me to teach them, to educate them about their endocannabinoid system, and to help them begin to use other tools such as breath work, meditation, nutrition, to instead of vaping, and just to educate them about their bodies so that they know how to upregulate their system, upregulate the endocannabinoid system.
Why do you believe that understanding the endocannabinoid system is essential for today's youth? And how does it really fit into the broader health education curriculum or initiatives that are going on?
Well, first of all, I think it should be in the health class anyway. They're learning about all the other systems, the respiratory system, the cardiac system, the reproductive system, all those systems, but they're not learning about the system that is the master control system of all of those systems, the one that just sits in the background, humming and waiting for, to be able to kick in and take action if it needs to balance things out. So they're learning about the other systems, but like I said, they're not learning about the master control system. And so it really does fit in. How can you have all of those systems without learning about the one that controls all of the other systems? It just doesn't make sense to me. And like I said, the reality is, they're consuming cannabis. So they're consuming cannabis anyway. So if we're holding back on teaching them about that system because we're afraid that they're going to consume cannabis, I disagree. They're already consuming. So why not teach them how to upregulate and keep them safe? Because we don't know they don't know. They don't know what's in their vapes. They don't know what's in their edibles. We don't know where they're getting it from. And then let's teach them how to be responsible with it. So when they become adults, they know how to use it intentionally. They know how to use it to support their system responsibly and intentionally. Teaching them about their ECS is not just going to impact them now, it's going to impact them when they become adults too. And I was just reading today how health problems start in infancy. It doesn't just, pop up in adulthood. You just don't. Surprise, you have hypertension. Surprise, you have, high cholesterol in adulthood. Those things start when we're children because of the habits or the lifestyle that we're living. So if we are teaching them about the ECS now, my hope is that, number one, I think they're really going to be interested in it. I mean, I've taught it to some of the students, so I know they're going to be interested. And if we're able to teach them about it right now, imagine how it's going to support their health into adulthood. That's my hope. That's my hope.
And it's not easy, right? You've had to overcome some challenges in this cannabis education. So clearly, introducing cannabis-related topics in school can be controversial. What challenges have you faced as a school nurse advocating for this curriculum? And how have you navigated those challenges?
I'm still navigating. Um, uh, well, because of the stigma, that's the challenge. And it's something new, it's something new to the administrators. They've never heard of the endocannabinoid system. And they're educators, so they probably figure, you know, they should already have known about it if they're educators. And while they're teaching health in the classrooms, they should probably already know about it. So it's new to them. So the challenge has been just getting them to allow me to teach about the ECS to the students. They are afraid, kind of like when um we wanted to teach about the reproductive system in the schools. Oh no, don't teach about the reproductive system. If you teach about the reproductive system, they're going to have sex and students may become pregnant. Well, guess what? They were already doing all of that. So you teach them about that. We taught them about it so that they could be aware of STIs. And if they're going to, teach them about abstinence, but also teach them that if they're going to have sex, this is how you protect themselves, how to protect themselves. So it's kind of like, well, it is. It's like that. It's all about the stigma. The ECS is, you know, when you think of ECS, you think of cannabis. And so they're afraid that if we start teaching them about the ECS, then they're going to become more curious about cannabis. But I can teach about I've explained this to them. I can teach about the ECS without even mentioning the word cannabis. So that's the challenge we're having right now. And we do have and I'm not involved in it yet, but we have a social worker. So let's say a student is caught with a vape pen. We have a social worker that pulls them into a program and she teaches them about the dangers of using cannabis. Well, I've spoken to my administrator, my principal, and I said, there's a whole nother side to that, but they need to know the truth. Let's equip them with the truth. Let's equip them with the facts, and let's teach them about this system that they have the power to upregulate so that if they're struggling with anxiety and it's usually anxiety and depression that they're struggling with, and ADHD, that's what I see them struggle with the most. If they're struggling with those conditions, I can teach them how to upregulate that system so that they are more productive in school and at home. And because eventually we only have 4 years with them. And once they get outside of our walls, I mean, they're pretty much on their own. So let's teach them these things that they need to know so that they can not just survive, but thrive in their health outside of our walls that we are protecting them in right now. So right now, we're at the point where so it just so happens I was supposed to meet with the social worker, and she had the nerve to go on maternity leave, have a baby. But so when she comes back, she's gonna come back in the summer. So that is my hope that we will meet then, because right now there's a temporary social worker in her place. Um, and then at one point, I did go back and I spoke with my administrator, and she said, "Oh, well, the social worker isn't here, but maybe you can meet with the administrators." That hasn't happened yet. She asked me for my schedule when I could meet. I gave her, I told her when I could meet. Hasn't happened yet. But what she doesn't know is I'm relentless. I'm not giving up. So I will keep. So, when do you think we'll be able to meet? So I'm just going to keep pushing and pushing until I get somewhere with it.
Yeah. No, we know you're relentless because I've heard you talking about this for about a year now and really pushing the envelope. So I think it's important for all of us to understand that these initiatives and these things that we're trying to advocate for, that they do take time, that we hear no a lot, but like you, Tamara, being relentless and continuing to move the needle is so important. So keep asking until they say yes, right? Get to
Keep
yes.
Absolutely. Keep asking until they say yes. And I do have the opportunity to teach some of the students, because when I have those students that have been caught with vapes, or they're in my office, or I have to run to them because they're um, laid out because or they're vomiting because they've eaten, an edible. that's when I take that opportunity to teach them about the ECS because then, I mean, like, hey, it's appropriate. Like, I need to teach them about it now. I wouldn't be a prudent nurse if I didn't teach them about it at this time. So I do take those opportunities and they're fascinated by it.
Oh. And that's it. They're excited to learn and you're really empowering these students through knowledge. So how do you see endocannabinoid system education impacting students' health and decision making as they grow into adulthood? I know that you kind of mentioned that earlier, but how do you see this knowledge impacting them long term?
Well, long term, I see it impacting them as um, making sure that they're taking care of their health, doing all the things with the nutrition and the meditation and um, physical activity, but also consuming cannabis intentionally, not just walking into a dispensary and saying, hey, give me one of those, and I'll take one of those. You know, educating themselves about the terpenes and, about the plant, just educating themselves about the plant so that they are wise consumers. I want them to know how to, like I said, number one, use intentionally. And with that, also knowing how to choose the correct product to help them. And if they know about the ECS, how to upregulate it, and why the plant works, I think they'll use intentionally, which will actually help them. Because right now, the way that they're consuming, it's they know that it's doing something for them. They're trying to fix something. They know they need something. We just need to listen and help them. They know that it's helping something, but they just can't quite figure it out. But if they learn about the ECS and they learn how to use intentionally, they'll figure it out and it'll help them heal.
Brilliant. I love it. I love it. So, really as a nurse, you've taken on this unique role of educator and advocate. How has your background in cannabis nursing prepared you to lead this charge in the school setting?
Well, I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly learning, and my education as a cannabis nurse, I'm able to educate them. I know about the ECS. I know how to use, intentionally. I know how to choose the correct product. So my background helps me help them, and I'm going to continue to learn. I don't know it all, and when as I see more research and I learn more, if I need to pivot, I'll pivot. But that's how my background as a cannabis nurse helps them or can help them.
So, and if you would like to share, for
Mhm.
those who don't know, how you actually came to cannabis and understanding the medicinal benefits, or if you feel comfortable, feel free to share that.
Oh, I would love to share. I love sharing this because I mean, it may be able to help someone else. So I I learned about CBD because I didn't even really know much about CBD, and I was dealing with anxiety. And a friend of mine and her husband, they introduced CBD to me, and I was, my first concern was, can I get high? And they taught me all about CBD, and I started to use it consistently, and I just noticed that my anxiety it just started to improve. It got better. It just started to melt away. I was able to really function through my day. And well, a little while before that, a relative of mine, I found out that he was consuming cannabis for a medical condition. I was like, huh. Well, I really love him, so I want to be able to help him. So I probably need to start learning about cannabis, a little bit more. And then sometime around that time, like a year later, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, stage 3. And because I had started learning about CBD, and I really thought I was educating myself for this relative, it was really, I guess, God was like, it's really, it's going to help you too. So I just did an even more of a deeper dive into it, started going down this rabbit hole because I needed to find out how it could help me. And I started learning more so that I could help myself thrive through cancer treatment. And I did. I mean, it really did. It helped me thrive. I don't know what things would have been like if I had not started learning about the endocannabinoid system and consuming cannabis. I have 2 bottles of the nausea prescriptions in my medicine cabinet, and it's been 4 years, going on 5, and they're still full, and they're sitting in my medicine cabinet, and I will not throw them away because every now and then I like to open up the cabinet and remind myself of how God helped me and how cannabis helped me get through it. And pain pills, because some of the medication causes bone pain. And I like to look at those too, because it reminds me how I didn't have to take a single one. I just consumed cannabis. I consumed cannabis. And so that's how I came to learning all about cannabis and being a consumer and advocating for it.
So powerful. You have such a powerful story and you tell it so beautifully. Thank you for sharing that. Oh, back to the school education and the ECS. I'm sure that collaboration with the educators and the parents has been an interesting experience. So, how have you worked with teachers and parents to build trust and support for including endocannabinoid health into school curriculum?
Well, I haven't actually I don't think I've ever brought it up to a parent. I don't think so. Maybe one or two. Maybe one or two, because I'm still working on administration. But I do heavily discuss lifestyle medicine with the parents. When I'm in special education meetings, I take that opportunity to really heavily discuss lifestyle medicine, and I build trust in that way. I send them articles, I send them resources, and so far, I think that, like I said, I've only sent an article on the endocannabinoid system to 2 parents. But for me, if one parent shares with another parent, or one student shares with another student and another student and another student, that's helpful. So just them listening to me about lifestyle medicine, I think is setting the groundwork for me to come in with the endocannabinoid system.
Have you spoken about this with other teachers and educators in your school and got any feedback?
One other teacher for sure. I'm trying to think, have I spoken to any other teachers besides this one? I don't think so. I think I've only spoken to one so far. However, so this is how I infiltrate. Since last month, we have been working on health and wellness for the staff. And so they want me to come up with something that I can talk to the staff about. And I'm going to start off with teaching them about breath work, but I am going to slide it in. I mean, I guess I kind of feel like, what can they do? I mean, that's just how I feel like. What can they do? I'm willing to take the risk. Room full of adults.
Yeah. And it's kind of showing them an example of this is what it's like to learn about your endocannabinoid system. See, that's not so bad.
Right. Right. So, and it's funny you say it that way, because that I was going to take them through a breath work and then start to tell them about the endocannabinoid system. You just upregulated your, let me tell you about it. Not a whole, I won't teach a whole lesson because I know I'm supposed to be focusing on the breath work, but I am going to slide it in.
Brilliant. Brilliant. So let's talk about maybe expanding that conversation beyond the classroom. Do you see opportunities to bring ECS education to other schools and your larger community, your community at large?
I do. But I think that and maybe even if I can't, I am confident that eventually it will happen at my school. But I feel like if I am able to present it at my school, then I'll be able to go into other schools. Um, and so that's my hope. I do see an opportunity. I see an opportunity for the surrounding schools, and there's also 3 other schools in my school district. And you know what? I'm so glad that you asked this question because it made me think about, yes, I have spoken to other staff members. I've spoken to the other 3, 4, 5 nurses that's in the district. So yes, I guess I was just thinking strictly about my building. So I do see an opportunity to be able to go into the other high schools that's in our district. And then I think that would give me the opportunity to branch out because we have feeder schools also, and they're going to be coming in and they're going to be learning about health and wellness when they get there. So I do see an opportunity.
So, what advice would you give to other nurses who are interested in starting like a similar initiative for their school?
First step, because most of the nurses that I work with, they don't know anything really about the endocannabinoid system except for what I've taught them. So first, educate themselves, join CNN, and because I think educate yourselves first, and then begin to branch out and start teaching it little by little to your students, to the parents, when the opportunity arises, and start speaking to your administrators about it.
Yeah, great advice. So, looking ahead, how do you envision the integration of ECS education evolving within the broader framework of school health programs?
I would like to see it being taught in the health class, along with all the other systems that they teach. And then if we're going to have this group, this it's called the substance abuse group. If we're going to have this group, then the ECS needs to be taught within that group by someone who's knowledgeable, not someone who is say no to drugs, and someone who's knowledgeable about the ECS, like really, really knowledgeable. So I think that's an opportunity. Number one, I see it being, I'm hoping that it's going to be brought into the health class for all of our freshmen, and then also brought into the substance abuse program within the school.
Brilliant. So I have one more question before we open up the floor to take questions from all the lovely people that are here with us tonight. So this last question is just for fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
So high schools are full of rumors. What's the funniest or most surprising myth about cannabis or the endocannabinoid system that you've heard from students?
The most surprising myth that I've heard from students.
Do they know more than we give them credit for?
They do. They really do. Because I cannot think of, and as far as the endocannabinoid system, they have no idea that they even have an endocannabinoid system until I tell them. But as far as cannabis, they do. They figure that they know it all. They don't really think that there's anything that an adult can teach them. They think that they're teaching us.
Are they pretty clear that they're using it for some sort of a self-medication purpose, or are they just doing it for fun, or what do you see your students saying, I have anxiety, that's why I use this? Are they making that connection to a medical condition?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. I'm anxious, nervous about the test, or I was nervous about the test, or it helps me focus. I hear that a lot with my students who have ADHD. Things that may be going on at home. They say that it helps them with the anxiety at home also. So they know initially they consumed because they just want to see what it's all about. They're curious. And then after they consume, they have an aha moment, like what? They start to pay attention to how, it helped them focus, or maybe it helped them relax. And then that's when they go back to it, they said. That's what they're telling me. So a lot of times initially, or sometimes someone will tell them, hey, this helps me with my anxiety, maybe you want to try it. But yeah, some try it for fun and they find out by accident. Others learn from what they've heard. I don't know if I've never heard any of them say that they learned it from what they read, but they've heard, they've learned from what they've heard. So yeah, some of them are, a lot of them actually are using it because they know that it helps with whatever's going on with them, or they believe it will.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And I think sometimes just opening up a space for the story to unfold, for them to have a safe place to talk about it. Narratives are powerful, and thank you for giving your students a space to be able to discuss those things with you. And you've had some exciting moments where you've had students that have overconsumed, and then you had to come in and just as we're getting ready to open up the floor to everyone else, would you like to share any of those experiences where
I remember my first one, and I was still learning about the ECS and still learning about cannabis. The first thing I recall was he ran to my office, and I remember him going like this on my glass. I have a window. And I was like, so I opened up, like, what is wrong with? So when I opened the door, he was gone. And so now I'm like, the student is banging at my, door. And so I go out and I'm looking for a student in the hallway because I don't know what's going on. And then I see him down the hallway with a dean, and a dean is holding him, and they bring him back to my office, and I'm like, what's going on? So he was freaking out, but I didn't find out until later. See, if I would have known, more about cannabis at the time, I probably could have, figured it out. But he was freaking out. He was paranoid. He'd had an edible, but we didn't find out until we thought something else was going on with him. Sent him to the hospital and everything. Didn't find out until afterwards that he had consumed an edible, and it was clearly way too much. So that was my first experience with a student that had overconsumed in school. It was wasn't funny at the time, but I was laughing afterwards. And then I've had other students that, they're vomiting. As soon as I walk up, I just kind of know now. I'm like, you know, they probably ate it edible. They probably overconsumed. So that's what I see the most. But that was my first one. My frantic one running up and down the hallway like a chicken with his head cut off because he didn't know what was happening to him. So he had overconsumed.
Thank you so much, Tamara. It's been such a joy to hear from you. And I know that all of our nurses here and guests with us today probably have questions for you. So I'd love to open up the floor and allow you to unmute yourself and feel free to ask Tamara whatever is burning in your mind.
Tamara, I do have a question for you. So when you're working with that adolescent population, do you find that when you're approaching and teaching them about the ECS, that there are some components of that, that they're receptive more to the mindfulness or, the diet, or do you find some that they just can buy into right away that think, wow, I didn't know that could happen? Or is it, just kind of what your thoughts are on as you're teaching it to kids?
Trying to think which one they usually buy into the most. I think they want to really buy into, and it also depends on the student, but I think they really want to buy into the nutrition, but it's just so hard for them because they're so addicted to the Takis and all the other things. But the other students, they really buy into the breath work. My anxiety students, they really buy into that, into the breath work. They say they're going to try it.
It's an interesting population to work with because they are in some ways so really quite bright and curious, quite a few, and others just that we work with, maybe don't quite have the knowledge capacity to even begin to sort through this. And
Right.
for you to be bringing this into public school is wonderful. So thanks for doing that.
You're welcome. And I think what helps them buy into the nutrition and the physical activity and the and breath work is because I'm a holistic nurse. So I've been there for 19 years, and this is just what I do when they come into my office anyway. For the, for the past 19 years, that's what these students know. And then you have siblings come in, so they already, kind of know what Nurse Pryor is going to teach them. And then they share it with their friends. I mean, I've had students come in for one thing, and they're just sitting there with sometimes with their eyes glazed over because they're like, I just wanted to go home. I just thought I was going to play sick, and you're teaching me, about nutrition. So, and I'll say, this is not what you were expecting, were you? So I think because I am a holistic nurse and I've been teaching um, about nutrition and breath work and yoga and meditation and all the other things, and essential oils, aromatherapy for so long, I think it's easier. They just know me. I think it's just easier for them to buy into it from me because that's just what I'm going to talk. Even when I show up at their meetings, that's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to teach them. I'm going to teach the parents. They just already know.
Hi, this is Gail.
Oh,
I just wanted to ask Tamara, I think it's wonderful what you're doing. I think on the high school level, possibly even the middle school level. This is a subject that needs to be taught, and as nurses, we need to educate ourselves so that we can educate our students and their parents and the public. And oh my goodness, I got so many things running through my mind. I'm forgetting what I want to say to you. I first of all want to know, where are you? I'm in California. Are you in the California area, or where are you located?
no, I'm in Illinois.
Okay, okay. I had a second question, but my mind is buzzing and racing. So hopefully it'll come back before this session ends. I
Okay.
just want to say thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
This is inspirational. I think
Oh,
this
thank
is
you.
needed. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tamara, I have a question. Kind of I don't want it to sound like I'm coming in negative with this population, but it's definitely, I can see that it's going to be addressed or it has been addressed for you already. Because what I'm seeing in inpatient psych is that oftentimes, I can't say all of the time, but I hear you saying they're vaping a lot.
Yeah.
And we see a lot of psychosis coming in with vaping.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's so important for you to be able to have that time to even teach about, um, routes of administration and how they can use it more effectively. But then I could see where you have to dance that fine line because you can't encourage drug use.
Right.
But it's real stuff that's happening. So it's like, how do you get that in there? And the other piece is, do you see any of it being to the level of a cannabis use disorder? And do you believe in that in this population or not?
Have I seen cannabis? Let me think. Have I seen cannabis use disorder, or do I think I've seen cannabis use disorder in my time there? Not so far. Um, I would not say that I've seen cannabis use disorder in any of my students to this point. But and as far as the vapes, I agree with you. I do, when I find them on them or it's been found and it's brought to my attention, I do talk to them about it. They get a whole lesson. That's my opportunity. They get a whole lesson about the vapes. I would love to be able to teach them different routes like topicals but that's a touchy topic. I'd have to figure out, I'd have to figure that one out. Because they are, and even if I were to bring up CBD, parents may be more receptive to that, but I would need to speak, I could see myself speaking with the parent first, maybe that route. Because if I don't know, I could just see it just going so many ways wrong if I discuss it with the student first and they take it back to the parent. Now, I don't know if anyone knows, my son is at the high school where I am. And when he's sore, I slather him with CBD cream. I'm guessing by the time he gets down there to the basketball court, he doesn't smell like it. But I look at it like it's legal. I'm the parent. All other parents bring medicine to give to get to their child, and it's allowed. So, and it's a topical. So I do. When he's sore, I slather him down and I say, all right, I'll see you after practice. And he's able to function through practice. So that's another, way that I could offer it or teach about it. But that is a touchy, it's kind of touchy. I would love to be able to speak freely, but I'm very concerned about the vapes. Now I did have a student that was diagnosed with cannabis use disorder. I didn't believe it. As soon as I saw the documentation from the ER, I was like, oh yeah, this is a bunch of crap. But because I just didn't believe it. I knew the student, and that's just one way that he can get out of avoiding 10 days probably of suspension, and then he could just get into whatever program that we have and not be out as long. And a lot of the ER doctors, they just throw that around, like that diagnosis around anyway, because they really don't understand the ECS or, cannabis consumption either. So, yeah.
While you were talking about that, it kind of like triggered in my mind about how about if you start to go to, what is it? I wasn't involved, but PTA, like go to like the PTA groups and like start to talk about, that might be another way to like funnel in the ECS education and do like breathing, start with breathing with these parent groups.
That would be great, but I haven't seen a PTA committee in our district in a long time. I haven't seen, and I'm a parent, and I haven't seen any emails come through.
Dated yourself, Nurse Neek. That's a thing of the past. Gone with the dinosaurs. Or the PTA meeting.
Well, I was never involved in one, so I wasn't a good mom because I was always working and stuff. But hey, I didn't know if they were still, if they're still around today. But yeah, I'm definitely dating myself.
I am older too, and I know all about PTA. And you're right, I haven't heard young parents talk about like, oh no, we joined the PTA. Like that was what you did.
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't exist anymore, and I'm going to have to go figure that out tonight.
So my daughter, she graduated in probably 2008, 2019. She will be 24. That was the last, when she was in high school, that was the last time I was a PTA member. That's the last time I heard of it.
I know my kids, they do actually have PTA. I have three younger kids that are in school. But they don't have meetings as much anymore. They just coordinate like email and then they do activities, but they don't have meetings.
Oh. Okay. I haven't even seen emails. And I'm a parent of us,
Wow.
Maybe you could start it up. Add it to the list of things.
Rest work. But if we did have a PTA, that would be a great idea, Nick. Yeah.
I have a question, and I may have missed it before, but I'm really intrigued about how you go about incorporate or just introducing the ECS education. Do you go like I would assume you go the lifestyle medicine route and then incorporate it that way? Is that how you broach that subject?
Are you asking me about when I talk to a student about it? Is that what you're
A
asking?
student, I assume with the student you'd probably be educating them probably based on the encounter, but what about
Right.
parents and such? You know, parents or the administrators, like how do you approach that in a way that they and I'm asking because my experience is as soon as I say endocannabinoid and people hear the cannabinoid and it's an association with cannabis, I it's it's a little hard to keep their attention because then they think, well, she's just talking to me about weed. And I'm
Mhm.
trying to get some perspectives on how you broach that without getting like turning people off right at the brink.
It's always same with the student. It's always related to a problem we've had. So as soon as and I use words like, I can help you with this.
Mhm.
I've been there 19 years, so I'm just kind of like, I can help with this. I think I can help with this, so I just approach it that way. It's when there's a problem, when a problem arises.
Okay.
That's when I have that opportunity to speak with the administrator and the parent about it. And they listen because they're trying to figure out how to fix it, but I think they're afraid.
Right. I'm sure. Yeah. It's hard to have good sources of information. You know, we are hard to come by.
Yeah, we are.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm still working on the nurses in my district. So,
Oh, wow.
but at least, they are more, I used to have to tell them about taking the annual course that we're supposed to take just in case we have students that need medicinal cannabis in school. And now, like, well, this year, and they were like, oh, we have to take that course. It came up and we need to take it. And they were just all, trying to make sure they got on it and completed the course without me saying, hey guys, the course. So yeah, so they're trying.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
And then I have one nurse, her son, he consumes heavily, but he has anxiety and I believe ADHD also. And so she does listen to me and she takes whatever I say to her back to her son. So we got him to be, we got him to be able to take a break and to reset his system because he was just, his tolerance had really built up.
Mhm.
And so she was finally able to get him to take a break, and she said he felt pretty good, and he was making sure that he was eating well to try to upregulate. And then when he decided that okay, it's time, he wanted to start consuming it. Now I was very clear about starting low and going slow, but I think he just kind of figured, you know. I know what I'm doing. I've been consuming for however many years. And she said it was not a good experience because he consumed pretty heavily. And then, so then he was, oh, this is horrible. And I said, tell him it's not the plant's fault. It's his fault. Now, now this is what we're going to do. And so she does. She listens and she takes it back. And she's fascinated by it too. So she's willing to learn. So she's a nurse and a parent that I've been able to talk to.
Nice. Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So are any of the other school nurses that you work with, they're taking the course that's required for students that potentially may need medical cannabis in schools? So that's a course that they need to take. Are any of them to the space where you are, where they're wanting to start incorporating endocannabinoid system education into the health curriculum for students? Are they with you on that, or what are they saying?
No,
No, they're not there yet.
yeah, no, they're not there yet. I think for them it's fear also, and I think they're still in that kind of disbelief stage. Like like why wouldn't this have been taught in school? why wouldn't I have learned this? If this is accurate or if this is, important, or if it's really the master control system, if it controls every other, or system. So I think that's where they're at still. They're just not there yet. Yeah. But I'm willing to help them get there.
And Tamara, do you see a lot of the old, like, this is the gateway drug to this our opioid crisis and everything else, that in the grades that you're around, I just know even my son's 33, and I know he was a big cannabis user when he was in high school and lost a lot of his friends to the opioid crisis and stuff. And, you hear a lot of that, oh, it's the gateway drug and everything. I just wondered if you're up against that too, or do you feel that there's more education and knowledge around cannabis where maybe that stigma is leaving a little bit?
I haven't really heard anyone saying that, or I haven't heard anyone express that, and that could be maybe because they know that I'm knowledgeable, they're just not expressing it in front of me. They may avoid expressing it in front of me. So far, I've only heard one dean express that, and I've gotten pretty good about correcting what's being said in the moment without, being condescending or without being confrontational. And so I said maybe it's because they have become more educated about it, or it could be because they're avoiding saying certain things around me. Could be that also. Yeah. And and I've had one dean, she and she's really like the toughest dean. And I will educate the students in front of her. And, as we walk away, she's like, Nurse Pryor, you're so knowledgeable. And she's actually the one I expect to say, hey, can we talk about this? Because I'm not, but she's like, you're just so knowledgeable. So I think she's in her own way soaking it in too. Yeah. So.
I see the chat going on over here, and who had said, was it Marcy, I think, said they all need a copy of the NCSBN guidelines. And Charlana is asking, how does she get a copy of the NCSBN guidelines? I don't know if Marcy can find that PDF link, but it's actually free through and you can look up NCSBN nursing guidelines for medical marijuana, and it's a free PDF. So that is available. I can jump over here too.
I printed one out. So it's in my backpack. That's probably one of the items that I just walk around with and don't even realize it's still in my backpack.
But it's such a great document. It's one of those things I've got mine here. You kind of pop that thing up and you go, see, we have nursing guidelines for.
Yeah. I wish I had that book, but I heard that it's not being sold at as the book anymore. You could just print it out, I think.
They're not printing them, but they do have that PDF. There it is right there. Looks like Marcy put it out there in the chat. So it is available as a free PDF. And, those documents go a long way. It's really exciting. We've only got a few more minutes here. Gail, did you remember the other question that you had, or does anyone else have any questions for Tamara?
I have a question or two. You said you're in Illinois. What part?
I'm in the south suburbs. The school that I'm at is in Midlothian. I'm in South Chicago Heights. It's near
So you're in Chicago.
Yeah, south of Chicago. Yeah.
Have you looked at working with cannabis organizations in that area?
Such as
Chicago Normal. I hope it's okay for me to say that.
Yeah,
because Chicago Normal being if the school has majority minority students.
It
That's
does.
a chapter of Normal that is majority minorities. They do amazing work. The Kiana and Edie would be the two people I know from the chapters. One was the ED, and then she opened up a dispensary. And I think Kiana is running it now, but they do amazing, amazing work. And they would be a great resource for you.
Thank
And
you.
you're welcome. So I missed the first 10 minutes, and you mentioned something about breathing. Is
Yeah.
that basically teaching breathing techniques to deal with stress and anxiety, or is that something else?
Yes, that's exactly what breathing techniques to deal with stress and anxiety.
Okay. I'm glad I joined. What you're doing is great. It's something along the lines of I love education and I love trying to educate people. And so it's along the lines of some projects I'm working on. So best wishes moving forward. It's very important work. And thank you for being on here. And thank you to the group for having her.
Oh, thank you. And thank
We
you for that
should
information.
connect. Are you in Illinois?
No, I'm in New Jersey, but I did run Garden State Normal. So I know all of them. I was the ED and founder. So I know Edie and that group. And that's one of the only pretty much majority Black and minority group in Normal. They're very respected. They do really great work in Chicago. They're on top of all the laws. So that's why I was mentioning. You can Google their chapter and get their information. It's a great group of people and the women that run it.
So, question, when you say Normal, because I've heard of the organization Normal, but I know there's an Illinois chapter. I didn't realize that there was a Chicago chapter.
It is. It is. Illinois is the state chapter, and Chicago obviously is the Chicago chapter.
Okay.
But they work together. But I think you would do much better starting with the Chicago chapter, and then if you need more resources, they'll help you.
Okay. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Love it. We love the
Yeah, I
network.
love it. The
We love the
networking.
connections. It's so beautiful. Thank you so much. We've just got a few more minutes here. Tamara, do you have any final words for us or final thoughts that you'd like to leave us with this evening?
Well, I would just, I know that, I'm among other advocates and experts, but I would just like to encourage other nurses to reach out to, see what we can do about educating our children more, because eventually, they're going to be the adults. They're going to be the adults taking care of us. And my kids already know. If they can avoid giving me, opiates or anything when I'm older, if they have to take care of me, give me the cannabis. But if you can just start some way, somehow educating our parents and educating our students, please do. And then I'm also looking into, because my son, he really wants me to start doing little sessions online with students. So if you know of students, or if you think that there's if you know students or parents that would like to be involved in something like that, let me know. Send them my way, because that will encourage me to go ahead and just do it, because I'm really not sure, like how many would really be interested in that. But I would love to give them that space. So
You just brought up a thought when you were saying that. There's actually the university or the college level. It's called Students for Sensible Drug Policy, SSDP. They've done some incredible work, and it's these college age students, and they might be open to having you be part of their discussion, and they might be able to help, bridge some gaps in there as
Okay.
well. They may not be high school students, but our high school students very quickly will be college age students.
Right.
And so they might be a good place for you to connect as well with SSD.
Okay.
And I know they're nationwide as well.
Okay. Yeah, I'll look into them also. So yeah, so I guess those are my final thoughts. Just our students, our children, you know, teach them about the ECS, please.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tamara. What a gift you are to us. Thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for allowing us to spotlight you as our CNN member of the month,
Thank you.
understanding the endocannabinoid system. You all are so amazing. Thank you for being here. Please continue and blessings to you, Tamara, on your journey forward.
Thank you. Thank you for coming, everyone.